Okie dokie. All right. Good evening. How is everybody? Everybody staying warm and dry? It's like depends on where you are, I guess, right? Um, boy, oh boy, weather has been just crazy. I don't care where you live for the last couple months. It's just been weird. I don't think I've seen so much rain in Florida in 20 years since we moved here, and nights in the 40s. I mean, we normally get two or three of them for a whole winter, and now it just seems like it's every night. It's a little bit crazy, but can't control that. But what we can control is our business and the effort that we put into building our businesses. And we got some information tonight to share with you. April has a training for you. And I just want to say, and April will talk more about this, but I know that she had a great couple days up in Myrtle Beach, and I'm sure she'll share more as she goes into her training. But everybody that participated there, and Joanne, thanks for hosting. And thanks for making my favorite bread and sending it home. I really, really appreciate that. Um, but anyway, let me get started. And let me just share. I have a couple things on slides that I would like to share with you. Let's see. Okay. So again, a few different things, but February is going very fast. We're already the 18th and we only have 29 days this month. So a couple things that I just want you to keep, right at the top, of your mind is we're still 3.5 weeks out from Nashville. And I really, really, really want you to make the effort to not only be there. Okay, that to me, that's just mandatory that you be there, but that you just find a way to get someone to be there with you. Okay, and I'm not talking about your team. I'm talking about, somebody that hasn't been to a meeting like that, hasn't been to global or regional or an elite academy or something like that. 3.5 weeks is a long time. And just do your best to do that. There's a lot of cool stuff that's going to happen in Nashville, just like there was in San Antonio. There always is. And we're excited about it. And the next live event probably, and I don't know when it is or if it is. I think there might be something October or November at the end of the year. They'll do something virtually in June or July. So, it's just a long stretch between having an opportunity to be around 1,500, 2,000, 2,500 people, whatever ends up being the attendance there. So don't look at the calendar and say, well, that event's already here. It's still almost a month away. And, really focus on getting somebody, to attend with you. Now, the other thing I want to mention is, for the next 3.5 weeks, April and I are pretty much local. We're home. We've been traveling a lot. We were out of the country. There's a lot of stuff that we were doing with family, with pickleball, with the company, with the trip to Punta Cana. And, we were both talking last night. We had some friends over, some neighbors that we've been trying, pickleball friends from where we live. And he's launching his own company and he's on a plane all the time, all over the world. And we've been trying to get together since the middle of November, and either their schedule or our schedule just didn't coincide. And the only reason we were able to get together for some wine and cheese last night was that the pickleball that was scheduled for last night got rained out. And we just decided to just get together and have some wine and cheese. So, but I'm bringing up the next 3.5 weeks because what some of the best tools available in this business to get somebody involved, or when you get somebody on the phone or on a Zoom or on a chat in the form of a three-way call. And it could be a three-way chat, it could be a three-way Zoom, it could be a three-way call. But when you invite, get a prospect on the phone with what we call an expert or somebody that's got a little bit more experience, it works very well. So for the next 3.5 weeks, we have some time to do that, more than we would normally, because the next time we're going out of town will be for Nashville. So, just keep that in mind. The tracks, I want you to keep in mind that the tracks that the company have put in place, the Rise era tracks, it's brand new. Okay, these tracks are brand new. And it's like a cash cow. Okay, we have all these different ways they pay us when we enroll somebody. We get the money that we get in the difference in the discount. We get the money if we're Onyx, Emerald, Sapphire, or Diamond. We get fast track money if we're in that first 90 to 120 days. All of that is part of the comp plan, and it all happens simultaneously. But on top of that, they introduce these prizes or gift cards, for achieving tracks. And you can follow it's called Rise Era. You can look at your tracks in your back office and stuff. But, unfortunately, and I'm sorry about this, I'm not sure how to see everybody on our team that achieved it. So if you've achieved a track, like if you got an email in the past week from the company that said you earned a track and it's time for you to pick out your gift, okay, that's how you would know if you earned it. You would have got an email saying it's time for you to pick out your gift. Okay, if you got one of those, if you earned, a track, would you please raise your hand and or mention it in the chat so we can, acknowledge and, give you some credit for doing it. And I'm, this may sound crazy, okay, but April and I both had tracks in both of our businesses, and honestly, and didn't know it until we got the emails, okay? Didn't know it. So that's why I'm bringing it up, because we didn't know we had earned them. Now, we celebrated Kenneth. Okay, he had gotten all 5. Liam had at least 2 of them. Okay, I know that Lori LeBlanc and Shirley Hodgins in Canada earned them. I had checked with Fred, but there could be others. Okay, April and I earned them. So if you did, please raise your hand and on the screen and put it in the chat. And we definitely want to celebrate you for doing that. Okay. 2 other things. There's 11 days left in the month of February, and I'm going to switch the slide in a second, but it's going to be very important the next 11 days. And we have our launch Zoom coming up, and that's the next slide. Okay. But we have that coming up, and it's very important that we create momentum. Okay, in the end of February, we finish strong and go into March and carry that momentum over. And what I'm talking about momentum is enrollments. Okay, enrollments. That is where the momentum comes from. Whether they're customers, whether they're consultants, whether you're doing it personally, whether your team's doing it, momentum and enrollments. We want to carry that into March, because whatever they're going to announce in Nashville, we're hoping it's a new trip. Okay, a trip for everybody. But whatever they're going to do, it's most likely going to be retroactive to March 1st. Okay, because the conference starts on the 14th. And whatever it is, it's always been that way, folks. When they said things in San Antonio, when they said things in New Orleans, those last 2 times that we were in those places, it was always retroactive to the 1st of the month. So if we finish February strong, create momentum with enrollments, and then carry it into March and just keep going right from the 1st of the month, whatever it is that they announce when we're in Nashville, will all be positioned nicely to take advantage of that. And with that, let me share this with you, okay? One of the best ways to enroll is taking advantage of our launch, okay? And we do it once a month. And, Tara and Carrie and their team are doing opportunity presentations on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. There's plenty of opportunity to plug in, but this is our team, opportunity Zoom. And we only do it once a month because there's a lot of other places during the month to do that. So this invite on the left where it says you're invited with the girl with the bullhorn and the protandim and collagen is on there. It's a week from tomorrow. So it's Monday night, the 26th. Tomorrow's the 19th. Tomorrow's President's Day. Okay, it's a week from tomorrow. This invite is in the back office. Not in the back office. It's on our team page on Facebook. I've texted it out to everybody. But if you need it, just text April or myself and we'll forward it to you. Okay, the middle, the light blue, okay, in the middle is the text invite with the live link. Okay, now just so you know, the link is the same link as tonight. Okay, that we don't change that. And that link is the same every month when we do our opportunity Zoom. Okay, if you've noticed, we're trying to do it near the end of the month, after the 25th, when the subscriptions go out, whatever that next Monday or Tuesday is, that's the day we're trying to do it. So for this month, February 26th was a good date. And, that'll still give us the 26th and then 3 more days to close up anybody that was on there, as far as the prospect goes. So last month might have been, our best month ever. We had 70, folks on there, and approximately 30 or 32 were guests, and a lot of them enrolled. Last month was our largest enrollment month in a year. Okay, so it was very successful last month, and we always want to do a little better than the month before. So, the goal this month is to go over 70 on and get over 30 guests on. Okay, so that's the goal. Keep in mind, if you're inviting, it's okay to be inviting this coming week, but a week's notice is a long time, especially when we're talking about a Zoom and an invitation and a text. You're going to need to have multiple touches, including touches the day before and the day of, to get folks on there. And the kind of the deal that we've noticed, you're going to have 3 or 4 people invited to get one on. So if you want 2, you got to have 6. If you want 3, you got to have like 10 or 12. You just got to figure that's about what the ratio is like 1 out of 3, 1 out of 4, something in that range. If it's strictly warm market, if it's not coming off of social media, it could be a little better than that. But those are kind of the numbers. Warm market is always much better, but if you work in cold market or you work in social media, you need to have a bigger cushion than that. That's just the nature of it. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is stop the share and give it to April. Are you there, April?
I am. How's everybody doing?
All yours.
A good weekend, all nice and warm. I see there's a lot of snow in the chat, so I know a few of you have snow. Fred, do you want to quickly mention I know Tyler will not be in England because they actually asked Bobby and I to go, and we aren't going there either. So
I heard Tara was covering it, April.
Okay, so
oh, nice.
Yeah. So you want to mention those dates so everyone knows, or?
Yeah, I will. I put it in the chat. I did heard that Tyler was going, so that's great that Tara Wilson's going. Sean Poe's going to be in Edmonton. So Edmonton, Alberta, for any of the Canadians, especially those out west. Steve Fife will be there March 2nd. And, it'll be a great presentation. In my opinion, it won't be the same as Nashville because, Nashville will be the big event. But for Canadians, it'll be Canadian-specific content, right? And our CEO or Chief Science Officer, Lisa Barnes, will be in London, England. And so we have the same day, March 2nd. So they'll be there with with Tara Wilson. So that's awesome. So who do you know? Again, like you're not going to fly to London, England. You're going to go to Nashville. Or if you're out west in Canada, you'll go. Shirley and I are going to be at both Nashville and in Edmonton. And so yeah, just we build from events to event, right? And you know, that's just where decisions are made. It goes from your head, this makes sense, this is logical, you know, I believe this, I believe in the company, to your heart, where it's, I want to do this. This is how I want to spend the rest of my life. These are the people I want to be in business and associated with. So whatever you do, you just get to one of the events, and then, as Bobby always says, bring somebody with you. And here's my guarantee. I have a guarantee, and that is, once you're there, you're going to wish you had more people. You're going to be thinking, this person, I wish I'd have promoted this stronger. Right. So it's going to be worth it. So thanks, April. And way to go. You guys, 2 centers getting a track. I'm not surprised. Right. And but way to go, leading the way and leading the way for this team. So thank you.
Thanks. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. I've got some slides. We're going to talk about entrepreneurs tonight, which we all are. And we're going to talk about risk and entrepreneurs. So let me get this up full slides. Play. It's kind of hidden behind the screen. Okay, there we are. So the thing that all entrepreneurs have, and it doesn't matter, you can think about anybody you know, anybody that's been successful in life, even those that aren't successful, there's an amount of risk. And you know, the cool thing about entrepreneurs, which I got to think, if you're on this call on a Sunday night, you certainly fall into that category of being an entrepreneur. But I want to talk about the risk compared to LifeVantage. And you're probably thinking it's very, very low. It's not always a monetary risk. So the one thing we know about our risk is it's simple. And you've probably heard this before. The person who talks to the most people wins. It's a numbers game. And, you know, there are times when we need to get our numbers up. And so I wish you could, you know, we spent a little time in Punta Cana with Tyler. He actually had some really positive things to say, but he said our growing season is now. We need to get after it if we want to have the rewards that we expect. He said, now is the time. This is the next time. This is the time for the next 6 months that we need to be. And he listed a whole bunch of reasons that you know, we really don't have to go into. But when I hear somebody who's been as successful as he is talk like that, I'm like, wow, it inspires me to make sure that I go after it. But, you know, why don't we talk to more people? You know, what is the downside? We really don't have a downside. Here, you know, risk versus reward is maybe too little. And I think maybe you think transactional. And I'll tell you, Bobby told you we had some friends over last night, and they didn't leave till after, you know, well after 11 o'clock. And if you know me, that's my cutoff is usually around 10. So we were already over time at that point. And we had a few adult beverages too on top of it. So, but the first thing I did do after we cleaned up a little bit was look at my phone after they had left. And somebody had reached out to me and they said, you know, I'm ready for that link, or send me a link, she said. Now, this was not a personal person of mine. It actually was one of our very spare time at best consultants in business. And so, you know, not somebody that's doing a whole lot, but it was 11:30 at night. And I went and got that distributor's consultant's number, you know, sent the link from that consultant, which takes a little extra time because it's not my link. You know, I have to find her number. I have to, you know, go to the website and, you know, change the cookies, make sure it's the right cookie and all. And this is the way I always think of it. So our conversation with this woman, and I'd already invested a phone call with this woman, so I've already got time in with her. But my thoughts were, and I think she was just going to order a bottle of Pertandem. So I could have let the negative thought be, well, I'll let this go to the morning. It's only 42 points. It's not even the 10% for me. I'm going to get 7% on this. It's less than $3. Is it worth my time? But I tend to look at the big picture. And I think, what if, and I remember telling Bobby this morning, because he said, you know, so-and-so, who, like I said, is very, very inactive, had a new customer, you know, it's kind of like, aha, you know, what happened here? So but it turned out she actually ordered 2 per tandem. But my thoughts are, we never know, one, the results she's going to get, who she might tell. She could be our next hot button based on results with Protandem. So, this is where sometimes where we think transactional, get a customer, get a consultant, little picture, we need to always keep in mind how big this business can be. And you've heard us say before, it may not be that person that you recruit, but it could be somebody under them or somebody under them. You just never know. And if you don't take care of all these little opportunities, these what you may consider to be little reward at this point, you never allow yourself for the bigger work. And this can be emotional too. Sometimes we don't really want to talk to somebody about our business because maybe we're a little too comfortable. And I'm sure that's everybody on this call. We're a little too comfortable with our lifestyle. We know we don't really worry about having, a roof over our head. We're not really worried about food on the table. I love to work with somebody who's got their back up against the wall. And that was Bobby and I years ago. I mean, we had to make it happen, or I don't know what was going to happen. So sometimes we just get too comfortable and we don't force ourselves to make sure we get out there. We're worried about, maybe what our friends and family are going to say, what they're going to think, that type of thing. And we all need to get into a mindset where this is super, super important. This is super, super big. We need to make sure that we're taking the risk when we talk to people so that we talk to everyone. And I got a few things that, why I think this is so important. The reason that we don't talk to more people is sometimes our reason for not talking to people isn't big enough. And you've all heard that, your why or whatever. And I kind of hate that why. But you have to come to grips in your mind, what is important for you? Why are you doing this business? And figure out, and I have some reasons on the next thing, but I do know if your reason for doing this business isn't big enough, you will stop at any objection that somebody throws at you. Any reason that they throw at you because you're weak, you accept, and it stops right there. So we've got to kind of overcome that. It can simply be, a lot of times when people get started, their needs are, they have to pay their bills. Maybe they've got bills, they've got kids to send to college. You don't want to say to your kids, we can't afford this. I know Bobby and I, and maybe you've heard this before, we had really big goals for our kids. And we set at an early age, we'd get you a new car, we'd get you college, but you're on your own. We had very, very defined expectations of what we expected from these kids and what the reward for that expectation would be. But you know what? What about never worrying about money? Wouldn't that be cool if you never had to worry about what restaurant you chose or the price tag on a purse or shoes that you wanted to get or whatever? That's a place of envy that a lot of people would like to get to. And I look at, if you're on Facebook or Instagram, you look at the stories, the pose are traveling up in Alaska and someplace. I think to go that far and that remote and that distance, they probably don't have any monies. I mean, we've heard Sean talk about not only doing well in LifeVantage, but, financially with investments and stuff, he has done really well, which gives them the time freedom. And wouldn't we all, I probably wouldn't choose as a remote of places they've gone to right now. It's interesting to watch the pictures and all. But what about that time freedom to never have to really worry if you need to get back to work, if you need to check in with your organization, to never look at the genealogy to see, are more orders going in? Or am I going to get a paycheck next month? So all that creates a lot of time freedom. But again, it has to be our reason, and we have to make that reason big enough that every time we come across a person, we want to share what we're doing. We force ourselves. Bobby and I have been doing these networking meetings, and you've heard me say before, I'm an introvert. I mean, if I never saw a person again, I'd probably be totally fine with that. But when I walk into a strange room, and it can be with a party, I've gone to parties by myself from invites from women, I force myself. I do not like it. It is not a good feeling going in when you know nobody else in the room. But it's always great because it gives you the opportunity to meet somebody to share our business, because I know how big our business can be. I know how important it is for us to be able to grow it big. So it makes me, it forces me to talk to people, because the worst thing I think you could do is walk into a room and stand against the wall and not talk to anybody. So it kind of makes you get used to going up and just talking to people, which is really the basis of our business. It's networking. It's meeting new people to share what we're doing. So how do we do this? This is the simplest thing, but sometimes we need to force ourselves to do it. We need to, and it gets easier over time. So if you're on social, like today here in Florida was a rainy, cold day. Nobody was out. There was, like Bobby would say, no pickleball, there's no tennis, no pool, nobody's doing anything. So maybe you're on Facebook scrolling, instead of just hitting that like, in the comments, or even message that person and just say, I know somebody said that, they're over this winter already. And I was like, me too. I can't wait for the spring to be come. I hope it's not much of a long, and we get into a conversation very easily. If you're in person, women, we have it real easy. I love that dress. I absolutely, if a dress catches your eye, or her shoes, or a purse, maybe what somebody's drinking, guys, maybe you ask, what type of beer is that, or what are you eating, or whatever, the Jeep for us has always been a door opener, because people, when we're at the beach, come up to the Jeep and they're like, biohack, is that a new brand, or what does biohack mean? Or, they want to know what all this stuff is. So it's a door opener for us. But, we could also not make contact with that person and chew them away, or we can get into a conversation with them where we make them feel important by asking about them. It's all about you asking questions about that person. You're gathering information. The best thing you can be in this business, and maybe two things, is a listener and curious about other people, asking questions. It elevates people when you show sincere interest in what they're doing. And so, for me, like, I don't even have to be a great communicator. I just need to learn to listen enough and ask enough questions about that. It's only polite, if you've asked enough questions, you've been a good listener, that they're going to ask you, hey, what is it you do? And this is where, you need to be prepared. So for me, I whip out my collagen card. I've said this time and time again. I don't even have to talk. We're at these meetings, and I show them the card. We all oogle over the pictures, and I collect their phone number. And this can be done at a restaurant. This can be done at the beach. I've done it anywhere I go. In fact, I've redone a lot of my purses, because if they don't fit this card, it's not a purse I use anymore. I always make sure I have them on it. Or, you can just say, I'm a consultant with a wellness company. You've heard of the little yellow pill, right? Again, they're going to say no or whatever, and you can answer those questions. But you got to be ready with this stuff. You either got to have your card, or you got to be able to reply that, because we've been taught we need to end it with a question so that they need to make a reply. You're not making a statement, I'm with the wellness company. And so what does that mean? They don't even have to ask you another question. They can just, remove themselves from you. So I have a little video after this, but being around some people, more recently, the last month or so, we have gotten really specific with collagen and NRF2. And I feel like we've forgotten the rest of the line. And so when I hear people talk, they're not necessarily bringing in maybe hair care or the Icy Bright or something else. So really know your product line. Make sure you're familiar with your product line, and most importantly, the benefits of that product line, all the benefits. Are there certain videos you like? The last thing you want to be doing is, when somebody asks you for a video, is thinking, oh, what video should I be showing? And then, how to share that information with somebody. And can you share a cart? If you've got new consultants, you need to make sure, time and time again, don't take for granted that they know how to share a cart. It seems to be, Bobby and I probably on an average 3 to 4 times a week get a call from a consultant who had a customer sign up, but they signed up under somebody else because they didn't know how to send a card, or they weren't familiar enough with that. So this is a little video. This is a little tip that I have, and another way that I show information that maybe isn't exactly a collagen video or my collagen card or an NRF2. You know, we seem to have enough information before and afters on the collagen, on the NRF2. But if I said to you tonight, send me information on fat burn. Do you all have a video on fat burn? What would you send that person? You know, so this is a little bit how to find a link to the product itself. And this is what I use when I get into a fat burn conversation, icy bright conversation, and they're not quite ready to buy, but they need information. And maybe I don't have a lot of information. So, you know, the first thing I do, and this is going to start to talk in a few minutes, but I put my website up in the top, you know, as if I was going to send somebody who wanted to be a customer. So this would be my link to the website.
Okay, so what I'm gonna do now is I've gone to my website, wagner2.lifevanish.com. And again, this is for a product that maybe we don't have a good video on or something you want to share. So I'm going to scroll down to all the products. I've hit on, you know, the shop now. All the products are here. I'm going to pick a product, maybe something that, let's do like icy bright or something, or fat burn. Let's see. Okay, let's do fat burn. Okay, so that's fat burn. I'm going to hit learn more. Okay, and then I'm going to go to the product, and I'm going to skip this part for now because I want this person to see all the different information that we have here. Lots of information on how it works, the results they can expect, different benefits, how to use it, what's inside the fat burn, copy of the label, download resources. And so I do all this by, if you look in this bar here, by sending this. So what I do is just copy, and then I would paste it. So just hit that, highlight it. I go up here to where it says copy. Okay, I can copy it, and then I can paste it anywhere in an email or a text message. And I can do this on my phone or computer, but hopefully that helps with sharing some.
Okay, so you can see that's another way to pull information when you're talking to people of stuff that you might not have. Each of those products has a lot of FAQs. It has a lot of information on the products. Would I send that instead of maybe some of the NRF2 videos we have? No. But, you know, it does open up a whole bunch of different ways to be able to share information. If I've already sent somebody a video, and more recently I've gotten this a few times, people are like, I'd like something in writing. I don't want to watch a video. I'd send them there, you know. So just another option to be able to share some of this. But you know what? In order to be an entrepreneur, to be a risk taker, you do not have to be perfect. And I think sometimes we have to make people feel comfortable with, you know, I love there are certain people, maybe even on here and stuff. I love that they just talk to people, and I hear some of the stuff that comes out of their mouth, and it's not exactly accurate. And I can remember when we first did meetings early on, Bobby and I were not accurate with our figures, with ingredients. There's, you know, we felt it in our heart. We knew how big it could be, but we went out there and we talked anyways. So it's important that we take action, and it just gets easier. And you've heard us say this before, it gets easier the more you talk to people, because you kind of have the answers. You've already thought it, you've talked to people and stuff, but don't believe you have to be perfect, because what the person is really looking at is your heart, how much you believe these products will help people, how this opportunity will help people. And we've all seen people that are super successful in this business, and we should all want that. We all want to, you know, maybe your dream is to sit on the white couches. Maybe we all should be sitting on the white couches, but you've got to figure out your reason, what motivates you to go out to talk to people. And, you know, a lot of those things I listed are Bobby and I over the years. I mean, you know, I just have a strong motivation to go out and talk to people and share this opportunity with people that I don't even know, because I know it's the basis of our business. We are in networking, and we need to talk to a lot of different people. And it's not always now, but you never know when that person says, she the vitamin lady, and I get that a lot, the vitamin lady, like, I'm like one of the doctors on here or something, it's just, that's how I've been able to brand myself, and you need to get into that position as well. So anyway, I hope that helps you. Let me stop the share. This is always the hardest part. There we go. Okay. All right. So, back to you, Bobby.
And just, you saw that information that April shared on fat burn. That exists for every product in our line. So you do not need to be an expert on a product to share expertise with a prospect, because it's there. Okay. It's there for us. And, the one thing about an entrepreneur, they have never, ever, ever once thought about being perfect. They just go out and do it and figure it out along the way. And if it didn't work, they just change it and keep going. They just keep tweaking it until it starts working the way they want it to work. So I'm going to open it up for questions in a moment, but just one last recap. Again, congratulations to everyone that earned tracks. I know, it may not sound like a lot, but when April and I, we both have, we're in the same business, but we now have two executive businesses. When they both earned, we chose $100 gift cards. I'm like, well, we got an email and just got $200 worth of gift cards. And before I could say anything, April said, I already know what I'm getting, so don't plan on spending yours. I already know what I'm getting. And but it's funny, it really was like a gift, because we didn't even know we had earned it. That won't happen again. We will know next time, and we'll know when you earn it too. But the two big things, we have our opportunity launch Zoom coming up a week from tomorrow, and we have 11 days left in the month, okay, to close out the month. And we want to make sure we are in Nashville, have our team in Nashville, and have some guests in Nashville, okay? And as you register, as there are numbers coming in, keep us informed. I mean, we have, and Fred, you keep us informed with your team, but sometimes there's opportunities to do something for the team and with the team, or we plan on doing something. And we always like to have a text list of everybody that's going to be there, so everybody knows where we're going to eat. Everyone knows where we're going to have a drink. Everyone knows whatever country bar we're going to go to one night or whatever it is. So, if you're going, make sure we know. And as new people between now and then, come up, make sure we know. Okay. And because we just want to include everybody. We want everybody to feel comfortable. We want everybody included. So just help keep us informed. But those are the two big things, folks. 3, Nashville, the end of the month, and get as many guests as we can on our launch. That is ours. That is yours. That is the one event each month that you need to take authorship of. Okay. If I'm Kenneth, I'm talking to everybody. If I'm Lynn, I'm talking to everybody. If I'm Liam, I'm talking to everybody. That is your event. And then all throughout the month, we can use everybody else's event, whether it's Carrie's or Tara's or Poe's or whoever it happens to be, we can use that. But this is yours. February 26th, that is your team's event. These people. We see each other Sunday night every week. Okay, this is your event. And you definitely want to take advantage of that. And we want to top next week. So anyway, with that, if you have any comments, thoughts, ideas in regards to tonight, April, that was great. Great job on that. And I'm going to challenge you to do one thing, and then you can unmute yourself if you have any questions. I still know there's people on here that don't know how to share a link. I know that, okay? There's 40 of you here, and there's got to be 1 or 2 that don't know how to do it. See, here's what I want everybody to do. I want you to send your sponsor a link tonight. Just send it to them, okay? And if you cannot do that, then send them a text. Say, could you please go over how I send a customer a link? Okay, But if you do know how to do it, do it. Send it to your sponsor. Okay. And let's put this monkey to bed when it comes to sharing a link for a customer or a consultant. April showed you that's as simple as it gets. It's right at the top. But you can do it from your app. You can do it. There's a million different ways to do it, but she showed you a pretty simple way to do it. So anyway, comments, questions, unmute, share. The mic is open. Rhonda, you got to unmute.
Okay. No, I have something. Last week or so, what I did is I went through the products and I texted the links to myself, so I always have it on my text. So if I'm out and somebody asks me, I can just grab it from mine first and fumbling through if we're at lunch or whatever.
That sounds like a Bobby move. I have my own name on my text thread, and anytime I find anything that I know I'm going to use again, I text it to myself. And I may have to scroll 20
Me
inches
too. I have
to
this
find it,
too.
right? I may have to scroll, but I know it's there because I sent it to myself. So great suggestion. Anyone else? Questions, ideas, thoughts?
Hey, Bob, do you all use the ABC primetime anymore?
Sometimes.
Mhm.
Just depends, yeah. And
Depends on what you feel.
yeah, and the conversation that led up to sending them something. But the one thing that is really great about that, I almost never send it first because it's so antiquated.
Mhm.
Okay, it's 19 years old now. Okay, so I almost know. But what I do a lot is just say, look, I want you to look at this because this came out 19 years ago. And to this day, it's still the most fascinating science that's ever been discovered in the world of nutrition, supplements, activation. Okay, so you can give yourself a lot of credibility saying, don't mind the way people look and the 19 years old. And what's funny, April and I were talking after church this morning about a book that she probably should be getting royalties on. She's mentioned it so many times. And what's the author's name of that book?
Dr. Yun.
Okay.
Oun, yeah.
Is speaking specifically about what our products do and how they do them. Okay. He don't call out Protandim, but he's talking very specifically about activation, very specifically about, what we're going on. And it's like, wow, we have a modern, popular, best-selling book that's out right now that is talking about living a longer life and all the science that we talk about. And it makes you, knowing that, you're like, wow, and this came out 19 years ago with John Kiyunis. I mean, it was 19 years ago, and it's just starting to show up in publications now. It makes you realize what we got our hands on, okay, and how special it is and how we shouldn't take it for granted. It's like it's going to be more and more and more conversation on it. You're going to see more of it on social media. You're going to see more of it. You're just going to see more and more of it. And the timing is now, folks. And I'll tell you that conversation April's talking about, we were talking with Tyler and Tasha privately. It wasn't like it was a training from front of the room. They were in Punta Cana. And we've gotten to know Tyler fairly well over the last couple of years. And he was just so adamant about, and I could tell because April and I walked away and it was like, wow, that was as straightforward and as blunt as I've ever seen. And I've seen him blunt from front of the room, but I'm talking about this was face to face with us. He said the next 6 months we need to go like a bat out of hell, like Meatloaf would say. Okay. I mean, this is the time to move the bar and up the conversations that we're having with people. Our time is now. It's not next year and the year after and the year after that. That may be true too, but our time is now. Evolve is here. Okay, the new products are here. The products we need and the products we have are all we need if they never give us another one. we already have more than enough already. So anyway, I see some hands raised, and I don't want to go.
Thank you.
Please keep it short, folks. You're welcome, Amy. Fred, go ahead.
Yeah, just you brought up one thing there, and when you're talking about our science and how advanced we are, and I remember recently Brandon Cunningham said that he was his first event. So he's a brand new distributor, but he went to an event and he was in the elevator and happened to be in the elevator with Tara or Carrie Dickey. Sorry, Tara wasn't involved yet, with Carrie Dickey and Stu Brody. And so Brandon's just in the elevator, and Carrie said, as they're going up to the wherever, said, they have no idea what they have their hands on. Right. Yeah. And Brandon's like, well, what do we get? But so maybe that is the reason he stuck in this long enough to go Pro 10 and do what he did. Because there was a point where he was, you know what, if this was, might not be worth it. So being at an event, number one, and we have something that probably most on this called really just don't know, and let's just go tell the world. Well, I just thought.
Well, I can tell you, Fred, the training that April and I are doing at the Gaylord in Nashville is going to address complacency, and it's going to address, just how so many people miss out on the magic that's available in this business because they stop a little too soon. They don't reach out quite enough. It's always, and again, I probably already said too much because I'm not supposed to talk about it, but obviously 20 years ago, we were 20 years ahead of our time, and the science that's beginning to be published now is just catching up with where we were 19 years ago. And it's just starting to get published in books now and stuff. That's how far ahead, and we're responsible for changing what has been known for decades as supplementation and changing that word to activation. We're going to change the entire industry that got used to calling it supplementing, and it's going to change to activating. And that's special. I mean, anyone else? Again, I apologize for going late, but you're all still here. So anyone else? We good? All right, 3 things. Nashville. Okay. The launch Zoom a week from tomorrow, and closing the month out with a ton of enrollments so the momentum carries over into March. And whatever it is that they decide to tell us or announce in March, and it becomes retroactive to March 1st, we all have the advantage of taking advantage of that. We all can see the trends of the company, and they have developed trends of what they do, even though they like to try and keep it quiet when they can. But trends are trends, and they're guilty as anybody else is with following trends. So anyway, let's, like I said, we're around if we can help you with anything for the next 3.5 weeks. But let's finish the next 11 days strong, and let's go into Nashville with some real energy and excitement. Have a good night, everyone. Thanks for your time. We appreciate it. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
Great
you.
presentation.
Good night.